Welcome to the HEV studio, where today we've got Sam Anderson from Viridian. Sam, welcome to the HEV studio. And we've also got Beck Hanlon, who's our social media and marketing director.
Yeah, big title, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Sam, welcome.
Thank you.
You do this, but we're trying to get the message out there about windows and doors and the features and benefits. Today we've got you here to talk about glass, and because glass has come a long way in the last 5 to 10 years, hasn't it, technically?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
But first up, we've got a bit of an icebreaker question, Sam.
We sure have.
If you could swap lives with someone for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh, this one's a really good question. And I don't think I can actually narrow it down to one person.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to do 3.
Go for it.
My first one is purely just for fun. I've always wanted to be a performer, but I cannot sing to save my life. So I would like to be Pink for a day, and I'd like to just rock it out on stage because I think she's
and
awesome.
those abs,
Yeah,
for sure.
I know. And a hot husband.
What's wrong with the husband you've got?
Nothing.
Okay, good.
And then my second person would be Michelle Obama, because she's very inspiring and empowering. So
Totally
I'd like
agree.
to get some insight into her mind and how she manages everything every day.
Yep.
And then my third one's a little probably to help me in my job, and that would be to be the New South Wales Premier, because I would like to make double glazing lower E mandatory in all New South Wales homes, because then everyone could live in comfort.
Well, you need to meet Gladys and see if he can make that happen.
Yes, that would be great.
But then again, Viridian might give you a pay rise if you actually do get that into Parliament and make that mandatory across the
That
state.
would be even better.
Tell me a bit about Viridian and how long you've been with Viridian.
Yeah, Viridian is the only glass manufacturer left in Australia, which I think is quite extraordinary and exciting. I've been with Viridian for almost 3 years.
Really?
And I have to
gone quick.
admit, yeah, it has gone quick. But I have to admit, when I first started, I thought glass was just glass.
Yes.
And what I didn't realise is that with glass, you can get glass that insulates your home. You can get glass that will actually protect your furniture and flooring from fading. You can get glass that's great for acoustic privacy. So if you're like me and you have young children who throw tantrums and you don't want your neighbours to hear you screaming at them, it's perfect. But, also aside from that, it's unlike, say, air conditioning where you have to turn it on and off to perform.
Yes.
If you're putting high-performing glass into your home, it's performing all the time. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And the other good thing about glass is that it's one of the only building products that will actually give you natural light into your home. And I think you can tell the difference between a home that feels really dark and dingy and cold versus a home that's really well lit. So glass gives you that, and it gives you that connection to the outdoors.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's changed over the years. I know back 35 years ago when I started, everything was 3mm clear flow glass. And sort of the last 5 years, people have gone away from 3mm and gone to 4mm, but including that, we've had Basics rolled in, and we're now using performance glass.
Yeah, with that Basics roll in, do you think there's more of a demand for particular types of glass, like these energy efficient glasses that you're talking about?
Yes. So I would answer that with yes and no. So yes, there is more of a demand, but sadly enough, we still sell mostly ordinary glass.
Yeah.
And I say sadly enough because with ordinary glass, you're actually letting in up to 87% of heat during summer and letting out up to 40% of heat during winter. So the best thing about the high-performing glass or the glass with the low E is the fact that you actually then start to insulate your home.
Yes.
So we are seeing some demand for it, and we'll definitely see more demand come through it with the Basics changes, which is awesome. And just the reason why I guess the demand is starting to grow is because traditionally the double glazing was more associated with cold climates. Now people are getting more educated, so they understand that double glazing, particularly with a low E coating, would be more beneficial in warmer and hotter climates because in summer it's going to actually stop some of that heat coming in and then some of that heat going out during winter.
And I've also seen and heard over the last probably 2 years, places like Darwin are now using double glazing, even though there's hotter climate. So when people are a little bit mystified sometimes, I think double glazing is great for sound properties, but you guys actually have a glass that does that. correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's another glass that's actually growing in demand because, let's face it, block sizes are getting smaller.
Yes.
Yeah.
So people do want that acoustic privacy. They don't want to hear their neighbours, and they certainly don't want their neighbours to hear them. So they're definitely using more of the acoustic range, which is VLAM Hush and Comfort Hush.
Yes.
Also, we're seeing more retrofits along like flight paths, rail corridors, and then on around motorways and highways. So yeah, that's definitely another area of growth for glass in that.
Cool.
So yeah.
And do you think that these types of glasses are becoming more affordable these days with the more demand?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So from our perspective, absolutely, because we want to make homeowners have more choice and more affordability for these glass types. So we've been able, especially the way that we manufacture our products. So in the factory where I'm based, most everything we do is fully automated. So by doing that, we're actually able to gain more efficiencies, and then obviously that rolls over into the price that we are able to offer the market. So definitely things are becoming a lot more affordable.
And I guess as well with smart glass out on the market, that you don't necessarily have to go to double glazing to still achieve good thermal properties in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's right. It's all about choice. You know, as I said, you can most people start off with ordinary glass, which is the stuff that lets all the heat in, but you can jump up to a smart glass, which is single glazed. It's got the low E coating. You're actually improving on insulation by about 39% over your ordinary glass.
Yep.
And then if you did have the option to go up to double glazing with the low E with the light bridge, then you're up to 77%
Yeah, wow.
of your insulation improvement.
You guys have done a really good job from a social media point of view. You've really got out there and put yourself on the front face and trying to get that message out there. Do you find that's where most of your clients are now sort of getting the information from, like that social media highway?
Yeah, so social media is an interesting one. I feel that when they get to our pages, it's a little bit too late in the process.
Okay.
What we see happening is that when people are looking at our page, they've already had their basics done. They've already chosen their frames in most cases. And so they might have picked a frame which only does single glazing. So then they can't actually change the glass to double glazing.
Yep.
Where I see social media really awesome for us is in people who are influencers in the market. So, you know, House and Three Birds Renovation, you know, people are going to their websites, their blogs, their social media pages because they want design inspiration. And so if they're seeing conversations on their pages around glass and the fact that you have a choice and there are options, then they're like, oh, I'll do a bit more research around that. And then they'll actually put it into their design and specify it up front rather than trying to change it later on, which is very hard to do.
And is that a hard process? Is it hard to sort of get in and see some of those building designers and architects and try and get that message through?
Look, building designers and architects aren't so difficult. I think they get it.
Yep.
Where I find the roadblock is more so is around builders and even window fabricators, because they're used to using single glazing in New South Wales, and so they don't necessarily want to change. And I get that. It's human nature. Change is hard.
So are you trying to say the some builders are still building, and I'm looking at some builders right now, are you saying some builders still building on price and they're not worried about what they're putting into the house?
Very much so.
Okay.
And I have to say, the reason I get told this is for three reasons. One, which we touched on, is price. They don't want to add to the cost of a home. And I get that. But if you think about the fact that you might put ordinary glass into that home, you're then going to have to put blinds or curtains or aircon in to stop that heat gain and heat loss. And so you can negate some of those prices or costs by putting better windows in to begin with.
Yes.
The other reason I'm told, which I find really perplexing or odd, is that, you know, double glazing's too heavy. And I think, okay, well, Tasmania and Victoria do double glazing as pretty much standard. So does that mean they're stronger down there? Like, I don't understand.
They work out more.
Guys. And then the third reason, which kind of breaks my heart, sadly enough, is that they just don't believe there's a need for it. There's climatically, they think we don't need double glazing in this climate. We're temperate. And the reason why this does break my heart is because everyone gets wall and ceiling insulation. You know, you're putting in something like this. Then, as you touched on, we're putting in 4 mil glass between us and the elements. that's not okay.
No.
Like, you can stand next to your windows and you can feel the heat and the cold. And, you know, like for me, it's about challenging that notion that we don't need double glazing, because if we're putting insulation into our walls and ceilings, why wouldn't we insulate our windows?
I agree.
Especially these days when people are wanting bigger windows, they're wanting glass walls, they're wanting everything has just expanded and bigger and larger. And that is so important when your wall is now glass, pretty much.
Well, what we're trying to say today, if you're going to build a house and you're going to insulate the ceilings and walls and all that sort of stuff, then let's do the rest of the house.
Yeah,
let's do the windows, you know, because I see they go and put that 4 mil glass in, but then they go and put the reverse cycle air conditioner in the house as well. It's all about trying to reduce some of our energy costs, and they can do that by putting the insulation into the windows as well. So it just doesn't make sense, does it? Let's start with the outside of the house, and if you can afford it, put the air conditioner in. But, you know, 4 mil glass, and they'll still go and buy the Bose sound system, and so it goes on, and not look after the rest of the energy efficiency of the home. So I just, it doesn't make any sense.
Though, I as being in the showroom, like definitely clients are coming in these days, just people off the street, and first thing they ask about is glass. They say, I've heard about this low E glass. What is it? What does it do? And can I have it?
Yeah.
And so I think that is a good change that we're seeing, especially in our showrooms, that people are becoming more aware of it and they are wanting that change. So there you go. There's your movement for your standard low E and double glazing in New South Wales.
But Viridian, you must see it. Like, there's definitely a bigger demand for energy efficient glass.
Absolutely. More people are talking about it, more people inquiring about it. And I mean, the internet's great because people do get more switched on about that sort of thing. So it is good.
So 38% of our business now, from a glass point of view, is energy efficient glass of some sort. So you can see it. It's definitely increasing. And I know 12 months ago it was 35%. So it's 38% now. So let's just hope in a couple of years' time it hits 50% and people are more aware about what's going on. But again, the government can control it, so they can say, listen, we're going to lift the star rating a little bit more. And make more people aware of glass.
Yeah, that would be great, because I mean the basics is bare minimum. Doesn't mean it's comfortable or great. So
exactly.
No, cool.
So Sam, what changes do you see in glass coming in the next on the horizon?
Yeah, so I can definitely say there'll be a next generation of light bridge on the horizon. So we'll start to see improvements in some of the componentry that we use in double glazing.
Okay.
So at the moment we're looking at warm edge, cool edge technology, which will not only improve the performance of the double glazing, but it'll also improve the look of it. So, you know, if you're like me and you're attention to detail focused and you want beauty in your products, then this will be something that you'll like because it's got a really nice, beautiful, sleek finish to it. So that's something on the horizon. I can definitely see improvements in the low E coatings available on the market. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some incorporation of technology, other technologies within windows and glass itself. So,
interesting.
Yes.
Well, watch this space, and I know your product, along with the AWS product, especially the Thermal Heart or the Thermally Broken, just works so well together. So, and I know AWS is working on more energy efficiency type products too to go with your glass. So we look forward to the future and the next 5 years. I talk about 5 years because I reckon in 5 years' time it just changes so much. So it's just wonderful.
Beautiful. So thank you very much, Sam, for joining us here today, and Chance and myself. And we will see you guys next time when we bring you some more information from Hanlon Windows.
Goodbye.
Thanks for having me.
Guys.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
You're listening to Hanlon Windows podcast, produced in the HEV studio.